UW360 is proudly supported by Pacific Office Automation, copy, print, workflow, and IT. Problem solved. BECU, a not-for-profit member-owned credit union.
Tuna sandwiches for lunch?
Sure.
John Barnard takes pride in his cooking.
Cheese needs
Cutting.
cutting.
Making a mess.
And on this day at their waterfront home near Port Ludlow, he's preparing lunch for his wife of more than 30 years, Gail Crawford, and her 92-year-old mother, Fran. John earns extra points by washing the dishes and putting them away, too. But some time ago, that gratitude turned to worry for Gail.
Because he does the dishes pretty much, and I would just find things in places they didn't belong.
At her urging, John agreed to undergo testing for Alzheimer's disease at the University of Washington. At first, he passed the test, but over time, his memory worsened, and so did his test scores. Now, 10 years later, his doctors say he is exhibiting the classic symptoms of Alzheimer's. John's reaction? About equal parts concern and defiance.
I wasn't devastated by the news,
But you weren't
but
accepting
I
it.
wasn't accepting particularly of it either. And I'd say I still have a degree of that.
It's pretty hard to accept that you don't remember things, and especially when he doesn't remember things, he doesn't remember things.
Yeah. That could be a pretty rock.
We'll just deal with it as it comes. But it's really hard, I think, for anybody to lose their loved one inch by inch, and that's what happens to you. You know, the person that you fell in love with and married and shared your life with, you know, becomes somebody else. And because John has always been very intellectual, and I always enjoyed that, you know, and it's just harder for him now to keep up with things. So, you know, so I miss out. I miss who he was.
Alzheimer's may be the best-known disease about which so little is known. Effective treatments remain elusive. There is no cure. But in part, thanks to the University of Washington, that may be about to change. Several university scientists and their research teams recently participated in the largest international study ever conducted on Alzheimer's, involving 74,000 subjects in 15 countries. One of the study participants is Dr. Debbie Swan, a professor in UW Medicine's Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences.
I am a geriatric psychiatrist, so I have been studying Alzheimer's disease, especially the clinical aspects in treating patients with Alzheimer's disease.
A major difficulty in diagnosing Alzheimer's is finding the genetic roadmap to the disease. With the university's help, the study found 11 new genes in the human brain associated with Alzheimer's. That's more than twice the number of previously identified genes. That's considered a major advance, since the new discovery could lead to the underlying causes of the disease and therefore to better treatment, or perhaps someday, a cure.
And some of the genes that are possibly involved make a lot of sense as far as the neurobiology of Alzheimer's disease.
Some of the primary findings in genetics of Alzheimer's disease came out of the UW.
Dr. Thomas Bird is a professor of neurology and medical genetics with UW Medicine. He's a leading authority on Alzheimer's and says the international study is a big step forward.
I think it's important because it adds information to our thinking about both the genetics of Alzheimer's disease and what we call the pathogenesis of the disease. How is it developing in the brain?
He's not surprised the University of Washington was asked to participate in the study.
It traditionally has been one of the leading centers for the study of Alzheimer's and dementia.
John Barnard and Gail Crawford agree.
Very, very impressive. That's why we like being a part of it, because we are impressed with what they're doing.
Still, any new treatment or cure may arrive too late for John, who's 77 years old. Dr. Swan says those likely to benefit will be early onset victims of Alzheimer's, people in their 40s, 50s, and early 60s.
I'm not looking forward to a solution this week, or this month, or even in my lifetime. But if my participation has helped, learn some of those things, then fine. That's what it was all about.
For John and Gail, there is more to coping with Alzheimer's than clinical tests or international studies.
Now, you do have to have a sense of humor. Isn't that what life's all about, for goodness sake? I don't think anybody goes through it unscathed by something, you know.
But it's a whole lot better when you have a partner. And, you know, it just, you need the support sometimes. And I couldn't do half of what I do without her.